update presentation. We launched or published our Q3 report this morning, so we will give you an update in this presentation in relation to that. The ones presenting today will be me, Lena Sundquist, CEO of Climeon, and also our CFO, Arnesson. And the agenda that we will follow: first we will give an update of Climeon. Thereafter we will go through what's happening in our marine business area, followed by what's happening in our energy and industry business area. Thereafter we will go through and give you an technology, including our supply chain. Carl will then give an update of some key financials. Then after a short summary, it will be open, the floor will be open for all of you for the Q&A session. As always, and as normally, we have got a large number of pre-registered questions, and we will also encourage all of you to give us live questions in the chat and ask us live questions. But we will also try to cover as many of the pre-registered questions as we can in the actual presentation. So starting with a background or Climeon at a glance. What is Climeon? Many of you participating today are familiar to us. You've been following us in our presentations before, but we also have some new persons here, and we also know that a number of people is also watching this presentation afterwards, because we will publish this presentation at our web page after this session. So Climeon was founded in 2011. And what we're doing is that we have a heat power system that converts low temperature heat into sustainable electricity. We have a really good efficiency of doing so, a cost-efficient system, and we also have a number of patents connected to our system. We have around 45 employees, and we have our headquarters in Kista outside Stockholm in Sweden. We have more than 40 units in operation globally, and the units that we have in operation today is our so-called Heat Power 150 system. That is producing sustainable electricity in a number of applications. The majority of them are within marine, on-board vessels, and we have installation on Virgin Voyages vessels, Viking Line vessels, Maersk vessels, as an example. And then we have systems in power generation and also in industrial waste heat. We have had, for example, a system in operation at SSAB plant in Borlänge for more than 6 years, which is still in operation, producing sustainable electricity there. Then within geothermal, we have a number of systems in operation, for example, on Iceland. What we're doing now in Climeon, our sales is focusing on our Heat Power 300 system, which is our newest system, which is a product platform, which is more cost efficient than our previous system. So it gives a better payback time for our customers, and it also gives better profitability to us at Climeon. To all our systems, we also have a so-called Climeon Live system, which is a cloud-based system that monitors all our systems over the world, so we can see how they are performing, and also our customers can see how our systems are performing. So a summary what's happened in the last quarter. There is a lot of activities in Climeon. One thing we announced in this quarter, end of July, is that we sold 6 systems to Hyundai Heavy Industries, which is the largest shipyard in the world in South Korea. They're building ships continuously. They're building around 10% of world gross tonnage in ships. They are building a number of different types of ships, and this series where we got an order was a series of 6 ships for A.P. Møller Maersk. A.P. Møller is building ships that can run on methanol and are so-called dual fuel ships, and they want to have them as energy efficient as possible, and we will come back to this. And then in addition to this order, we of course have a lot of discussions with other ship owners and shipyards for additional projects, and we will come back to this. Within our energy and industry field, we are focusing on a number of countries and applications in Europe, and the applications are mainly for industrial applications, power stations, and geothermal power. And here we are also in production mode of the first 2 units that we have sold to a PT or plastic factory in Lithuania. We'll come back to this as well. Within product and technology, there's a lot of things ongoing, since we are working now on a project list for our sales with various types of ships and various types of projects within Europe, with various requirements. Our R&D is securing that we can deliver on all those customer requirements, both when it comes to production of electricity, all requirements that we need for various classification societies, grid codes, and so on. And we're also planning here for our supply chain in order to deliver both to the orders that we've already taken and also to continuous orders that we have in the pipeline. And then within finance, there's also been a lot of things happening in this quarter, in the third quarter. We have announced that we have an intention to have a rights issue, and Carl will come back to this. And then we're also continuously monitoring our cash flow and all our financial activities, and Carl will come back to this. So we continue with marine. Why is marine an interesting business area for Climeon and for waste heat recovery? And there's a number of reasons for that. Within marine, there is a lot of focus to decarbonize the industry and make ships as energy efficient as possible. There's also a lot of focus to save fuel on board ships. Fuel is one of the highest costs for a ship owner. And there's also coming in a lot of requirements to make ships as energy efficient as possible and also to decarbonize this industry. It comes a lot of legislation both from IMO, International Maritime Organization, and also, for example, from European Union, that in the future ships need to pay carbon tax for the CO2 emissions that they release to the environment. And then for us at Climeon, what does this business mean in numbers? There are around 1,500 to 1,800 new ships being built every year. We have designed our system to be a good fit for around 30% of those ships, mainly for the large one with a lot of waste heat to recover. Big engines mean more waste heat, so for the large ships there. So for example, cruise ships and big container vessels. And as we are targeting 30% of the new build fleet, that gives us a market of around 500 to 600 ships per year. And in addition to that comes the existing ship, the retrofit market. And we see now that we get a lot of inquiries, both for new build ships and also for existing ships. And we are working both with ship owners and shipyards. So in this quarter, we could announce this order to Hyundai Heavy Industry, which I said in the beginning is the world's largest shipyard in South Korea. And this is a series of 6 container ships for Maersk, Upper Maersk. These are so-called dual fuel ships, so they can run both on heavy fuel, but they can also run on e-methanol. And they have a focus to make these ships as energy efficient as possible, and there will be one Heat Power 300 system installed on board each of those vessels to make these ships even more energy efficient. And the latest update from our side on this project is that we have initiated production planning. So the first units will be installed or shipped from Climeon during next year. And what is more ongoing than in marine? There is a lot of activities. Of course, all ship owners and shipyards are looking into what the others are doing. And as Hyundai is a big player from yard perspective in the maritime industries, all the other shipyards are, of course, looking into what they are doing. And all ship owners are, of course, looking into what Maersk are doing. So with this order that we can announce end of July, we have got loads more of new inquiries. So we have a lot of projects that we are working on. We have got quite a few questions from you, pre-registered questions that can you please release your project list? We will not do that because we don't want to disclose that to other customers or to our competitors, but we have a big number of projects that we are working on, both new builds and to existing ships. And we have had customers that made audits of Climeon, so they're going through all our processes, all our documentations. They have been doing audits both at our production site in Sweden and also at our test site and our office here in Kista. Both going through all product documentation, but also going through all our legal documentation. And this week, our marine team is in South Korea again. They are over there quite often and quite frequently. They will be there many times during this autumn because there's a lot of activities with the shipyards in South Korea now, as that is the biggest market within the marine industry. So this week it's an exhibition which is biannually. So it's called Core Marine. I have been there myself quite a few times previously. But as I'm here now, I could not be there this week, but we have the marine team there, and we are presenting Climeon together with the local agent that we're working with in South Korea. And the team there is very busy meeting a lot of customers this week. Then we are, of course, working on our previous projects that we have taken before. So with Heat Power 150, we have installations ongoing. And in the last quarter, we have done work and prepared for commissioning the last ship in the Virgin Voyages fleet. We continue to our energy and industry business area. And there is a number of reasons why this is also an interesting business area for us. As we all know, the world needs more electricity. The world is being electrified. We're becoming more people on this planet, and all of us are consuming more electricity. The cost of electricity has also increased on a global level, and many countries now are also looking into get rid of as much fossil fuel as they can, both from a cost perspective, from a geopolitical perspective, and also in order to reduce CO2 emissions. And our focus in this business area is in countries in Europe and UK, where our solution can give a return of investment of less than 5 years for our customers. And that return of investment then includes our product, but also installation and operational cost. And in May, we announced this order that we took to Neo Group. That is a plastic PET production site in Lithuania. They have 3 production lines, and our heat power system will be installed on 2 of those. So we sold 2 heat power units. And that would make that plant more energy efficient. And the project update on this one is that we have started production of those 2 units together with our assembly partner in Sweden. And those 2 units will soon arrive here to Kista, and we will do testing of those units before they are being shipped to the customer. As I said, we are focusing on a number of customers and countries in Europe within industrial or industries, energy production, mainly from engines, and also in geothermal sites. And we're focusing on countries and applications where it could have a 5-year payback time for the customer. And then we have also then selected the criteria for which countries and applications that are interesting. For example, that it should be a high price of electricity in that country. And it's good for us also to focus on countries where there's a high attention from the government or from that region to be as energy efficient as possible. And there's a number of those countries in Europe. In addition to Europe, we're also getting in a lot of inquiries from the rest of the world. And these can be interesting for us in a longer perspective. But at the moment, we're focusing on a number of countries in Europe. And here in the last quarter, we've also done a lot of different activities. I, for example, participated in an energy efficient conference in Brussels, and it's great to meet other players in Europe and also governments and people from European Union to really understand what's ongoing and also spread the message that we have a solution that can be implemented quickly to produce sustainable power and to save energy. Then here in the middle picture, you see one of the countries that we think is very interesting. It's in the Netherlands, and we were invited from someone called DCMR. Most people in Sweden would not know what this is, but it is actually the Netherlands Environmental Protection Agency. And they gathered the big players or the big energy consumers in the Netherlands. So industries and companies in the Netherlands, which are the highest consumers of electricity. And they invited those, and they invited us and some other ones that could do energy savings or produce sustainable power. So that is one of the countries in Europe that is interesting for us because they have a lot of attention to reduce the dependency on fossil fuel and put more sustainable power on the market. Then another thing that we were doing in the last quarter is that we welcomed a big delegation from Taiwan. It was more than 50 people from Taiwan visiting our site in Kista, both our test site, and we gave a presentation to them because they are really interested in the potential in geothermal power. Taiwan is a country in the world that is today importing the majority of their electricity. They're importing a lot of fossil fuel. And of course, they want to get rid of that fossil fuel and produce more electricity in the country. So they're looking into solar and wind, but mainly they're looking into the potential of geothermal power. So this is not something in Taiwan. This is not something that would happen in a short term, but so here we are evaluating. We are doing both projects that could be realized quite soon, and then we're also working with projects that could be more interesting for us in the long term. So we move over to product and technology. Here there is a lot of activities ongoing, both because we have gotten orders now. So the R&D team is securing all the documentations for those projects, both customer documentation, because most customers would like customer-specific documentation, and also specific product documentation for production of those units. And then the R&D team is also working, because we see, and the R&D team is very much involved on our long-term project list. When we're getting in new requirements from customers, we are also testing our performance in relation to those customer requirements, so we can see how much electricity we can produce. Because what we're actually selling and what the value is of our solution is to sell as much electricity as possible from a certain amount of waste heat. And we are also, and the R&D team is also securing that we get all or have all the relevant approvals. So today we have design approval from DNV, Lloyd's Register, and ABS, which are three of, you can say, the top marine classification societies. There are a number of more. So we can see now at our customer project list that we have a number of more in our pipeline. So the R&D team is also securing that we get the design approvals also for those classification societies. On our units, we also have CE approval for European market, and the R&D team is also making adaptations for the various grid code approvals that we need for various countries in Europe. Then within supply chain, we are continuing to develop and strengthen cooperation with subcontractors and partners. And the system for NEO Group is now under production, and we have started planning for the production of the 6 heat power units for Hyundai Heavy Industries. With that, I would like to hand over to Carl for some update on finance.
Thank you, Lena, and hi everyone. First, I would like to summarize the main focus areas for us going forward from a financial point of view, and this includes our cost base and run rate, ongoing customer business cases, as well as our cash flow. And looking into our cost base then, as you all know, we are and have been addressing our underlying OPEX to be at a minimum during the rollout of Heat Power 300 to our customers. So therefore, it's positive to see that we're maintaining this low level compared to last year, also during the third quarter. OPEX, including organizational cost, declined versus both Q3 last year as well as versus year-to-date last year. We have some minor investments planned going forward, mainly related to commercial activities, but nothing that will have any major impact on our cost base going forward. During Q3, we also took some one-off costs related to mainly write-down of our stock and bad debts for ongoing customer projects. I will come back to those projects shortly. And finally, also some word on the organizational side, since the personnel cost of our cost base is the major part. We still feel that we have the organization in place that can deliver on our short and mid-term targets, and to be able to deliver the customer projects that we have in sight. So we don't see any significant changes there as well. Moving over to some words on our customer business cases. First of all, related to our Heat Power 300, we have during the quarter worked intensively to get an even more effective supply chain in place for the supply chain and the production of the Heat Power 300 units, both related to production and the deliveries, of course, to our customers. And this is especially related to ensure on-time deliveries of different components, our test processes, as well as to further strengthen our cooperation with our assembly partner. Of course, I think it's worth mentioning here, and I think we've also said that before, is that these first units that we will deliver will, of course, not be the most profitable ones, as we're on a daily basis working on the COGS side of Heat Power 300 to find even more cost-efficient solutions in place, including double sourcing of components and so forth. It's worth mention also, of course, that the first orders that we've signed are profitable. But of course, we see further potential going forward for a stronger gross profit going forward. During the quarter, we also worked on with our Heat Power 150 customer projects that we have in place. We, as Lena mentioned previously, had deliveries of different services to Virgin Voyages, as well as a delivery of one Heat Power 150 module to the UK project related to a power station that is being built. However, this UK project have faced some delays as the EPC that has been assigned by our customer Landmark Power Holdings have decided to go into liquidation. So therefore, Landmark needs to find a new EPC that can finalize the site that has been started to be built. The initial plan was to have the power station in operation at the end of 2023, but that has been delayed. At the moment, we do not know exactly what this means in terms of timing for us for our work or our outstanding receivables. And so therefore, we made some accruals related to this project during the third quarter, and we need to come back to you related to this project going forward. When it comes to the cash flow, our operational burn rate, of course, very much linked to our costs, also maintained at a low level compared to previous periods. During this quarter, we also saw a positive development in our working capital, following the delivery and payment of one Heat Power 150 unit to the mentioned UK project. Also, as previously announced, we have during the quarter amortized the remaining balance of our credit facility that we had with Svensk Exportkredit. So that means that we currently do not have any long-term bank debts to be repaid, something that also will have an effect on our total cash flow going forward compared to previous periods. Other ongoing activities is, as I think we also mentioned in our Q2 report, is that we're also evaluating our other current assets to see if they can have some potential value for us in some ways, and that work will continue during the coming quarters. But finally, also in order to strengthen our cash position at the moment and the working capital, the board have decided to propose a fully guaranteed rights issue, and therefore also invited to an EGM later today. And I will just give a brief summary of what that proposal contains. So the company is in need of further capital to fully finance the ongoing commercialization, and that of course also includes strengthening the working capital to deliver agreed and expected orders. So the board has proposed a fully guaranteed rights issue, which will contain units that initially an amount of 100 million SEK in B shares, but also in warrants for a later subscription period. The The rights issue have been subscribed by current shareholders of approximately 32% and also has been guaranteed by guarantors for 68%. So all in all, the rights issue proposed is fully guaranteed. We will host an EGM later today, and if this transaction will be approved, then a board decision will be followed. And also further information related to full terms and conditions and time plan will be communicated afterwards.
Thank you, Carl. So with that, a short summary. And as I said in the beginning, these are our focus areas. So we're focusing a lot on marine, getting more customer projects there, working with both ship owners and shipyards, both on new built ships and on existing ships. Within energy and industry, we're also doing a lot of activities and focus there now, mainly on countries in Europe where customers can get a 5 years payback time with our solution to produce more sustainable power. Within product and technology, we are continuously optimizing the system to improve it even more, and also making sure that we have all the relevant customer and production documentation available for all different variants of the Heat Power 300 system, both that orders that we are taking, but also orders that we see that we have in the pipeline. We're also working a lot with our supply chain there for it to be possible to scale up, but also, as Carl said, to make it as cost efficient as possible. And then Carl gave an update what's happening within finance. So with that, I would like to open up the floors for questions. And as usually in these sessions, I will hand over to Laura, who will moderate this session for us.
Thank you very much, Lena, and thank you very much, Carl. The practicalities are as per usual, and as you can see on the slide, we would like to have as many live questions as possible, and you can either raise your hand, after which we will hand you the floor from here, or you can post your question in the chat. We do also have a lot of pre-registered questions, but please go ahead now and either raise your hand or post questions in the chat if there's something you would like to raise here. Right now we do not have anything, so we will start with one of the pre-registered questions, and this one is for you, Lena. Not a very surprising one, and I think you already touched upon it. Do you expect the next order from HP 300 to come from maritime or from energy and industry, and which would you prefer?
I prefer all good, all good orders. No, but what we have made now and made in our management team is that we have two business areas. One is marine, headed by Fredrik Thorén, and the other one is energy and industry, headed by Patrik Engstrand-Kemi. And I want orders in both of those business areas, so we have full focus in both of them, of course. And we see that it happens a lot of things, both in marine, that we're getting in a lot of new projects, and also some of the projects have been more intensified. And also within energy and industry, we're also getting in a lot of inquiries, and we have a number of projects also there that we worked on for quite some times. So in both of these areas, we're working both on long-term things and also in things short-term that could be realized quite soon.
Very good, and I think we have the first question from the lines, and it comes from Ulle Bergström. So please, Ulle, go ahead and unmute and raise your question.
Thank you very much, and hello, Lena and Carl. For natural reasons, the focus is of course a lot here and now on questions and as shareholder thinking about orders that's going to come. But if you look a bit forward, I mean, comparing, for example, retrofit with new build, how big is that? And of course, I know it's impossible to say, but what's the total market? I mean, if you include everything and look a number of years ahead, is there a limit somewhere, or don't you see a limit? Or if you dream a bit big for a few sentences, what would you like to say?
Yeah, and then I guess you mean the marine, since you mentioned retrofit.
Yeah, well, I started with marine since it's interesting to see. I guess retrofit is a large market as well as new build, but is it bigger or smaller, or and also, of course, in total all markets long term? I know it's impossible to answer, but it would be good to get your feel for sizes and potential to keep developing years and years ahead.
Yeah. In this presentation, I gave the figures or rough figures about how big we see that our market potential is for the new building market. So we see that our current system, the Heat Power 300 system, is a good fit for around 30% of the new build vessels that is being built annually. So that gives us a potential market of around 500 to 600 ships per year, only in new buildings. If we would do smaller size systems in the long term, we could of course take a even larger part of the new build ships. But with the current system, the Heat Power 300 system that we're focusing on now, that would be 30% of the fleet. So around 500 to 600 ships is the market size. When it comes to retrofit, and we have published those figures in our annual report, so I'm allowed to say them. Is in the world, there is somewhere around 85 to 90,000 ships that is sailing around in the world. I mean, big ships. And what we have said there is that 15,000 to 30,000 of those ships could be ships that we could target for. I mean, you would not do retrofit on too old ships or in ships that in our case would be too small to get a good payback time. They need to have some kind of waste heat. And personally, I thought that the new building market would come first, because what normally is happening in marine, and from my previous experience, is that you normally prefer to include big units or do installation work rather at yard site. But what we can see now is, in addition to the inquiries we get for new build ships, we also get quite a lot of inquiries for existing ships. So there are quite a lot of ship owners that is also interested to do energy efficiency things and save CO2 emissions and save fuel on also their existing fleet. So we are focusing on both of those two markets now, both on new build ships and also on existing ships. Was that the answer?
Yes, exciting. Thank you very much. Good answer.
Thank you very much, Olle. We have a question in the chat for Carl. For financing, have you considered to sell your share of baseload, and if not, what benefit do you see with that share or ownership?
Yes, I think I touched based on that previously during the presentation, and also related to what we said in the Q2 report, is that we're evaluating all our current assets to see what kind of value they have and how to act on that, of course. But by that said, I can't comment on specific assets as that. And just on a side note related to the baseload shareholding that we have, baseload is doing a very good and important work on the geothermal side of the energy market. As you all know, the Heat Power 300 product is initially not designed for geothermal, but it can be interesting for us in the future, which can also be seen through, since we, as an example, where we have the delegation from Taiwan here earlier during the quarter.
Very good. Thank you very much. And then the next question is also from the chat related to the recent orders. A question about the recent contract with the shipyard and AP Møller in Korea, so Maersk. Does this contract mean that the shipyard will include, or at least try to include, the Climeon HP 300 module in their template for all new builds for these kind of ships?
What this shipyard has now done is that they have done, they need to do engineering work and installation work and design work for including Heat Power 300 system. And as they have done that for these vessels, of course, they have the design work already done. And there's a lot of shipyards now that are competing for getting new orders from ship owners. That means their customers. So shipyards now all over the world, in Korea as well, and this shipyard, of course, want to be able to present as energy efficient and modern ships as possible to their ship owners. And now they have made the design and engineering work for Heat Power 300 system. So a lot of the work is already done. And the first order is, of course, always the most difficult. And they have done an audit of us, so they have approved us as a supplier now. So a lot of the sort of groundwork for us is, of course, already done.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Lena, it seems we do not have any further live questions. If you would like to post one or ask one, please either raise your hand or write the question in the chat. I think we will go back to the pre-registered questions for a while, but let us know if you have any more live questions. The next one is, Carl, for you. Are you content with the profitability of the recent orders, and has anything changed after you signed the orders?
Yes. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, both those new orders we have signed for Heat Power 300 are profitable. But of course, these at least the first units delivered will not be the most profitable ones compared to orders or deliveries at the later stage. As we sign new orders and agree on higher volumes, that of course gives us an opportunity to improve our gross margins due to positive effects from both sourcing activities or production efficiency that will increase for every unit produced, I would say.
And I could just add something there to what Carl said. Of course, there's in the first orders, as it is like when we work with sales, there's a lot of one-time costs in the sales projects. And also now in the delivery projects of the first units, there's of course a lot of one-time cost, design work that we only take one time, and putting that on the order, that means less profitability. And those type of costs, we don't need to take the second one or the third one. So we can be more efficient in future in continuous orders.
Very clear. Thank you both. We have a further question in the chat. You said that there has been a number of customers visiting you and evaluating both production and the rest. Can you say anything about how good results you got in those evaluations?
Yeah, both of the orders we have signed, they have of course gone through us a lot to look into all our books, and from the customers visiting us, they have visited. I mean, normally how it works, it does when they are doing audits, they have a long list of things that they are going through. Technical documentation, for example, and also all our other type of documentation and processes. So there's a long list of things that they want to go through and approve. And for the order that we announced end of July, we had both the ship owners doing audit of us and also the shipyard. And those are large corporations that put a lot of things on us. There's a lot of things that they want to see, both in terms of documentation and compliance, financial stuff, but also meet our team, meet our assembly partner, and also look at how everything is looking. From safety aspects to all types of aspects, both at our assembly partner, down at our test site, and also in our headquarters and office facilities. So we got full approval and green light in the orders that we have taken. Yeah, those audits has of course been fully approved. Otherwise, we would not have been able to sign those orders.
Very good. We do have a question about the rights issue, but let's take the commercial question first. Are you considering to use suppliers in South Korea in the future if you might have a majority of orders from Asian shipyards?
Yeah, I can take that one. Today, our supply chain that we have in Climeon is mainly in Europe. We source components and assembly the units in Europe, and we will remain that for a while until we have streamlined all our production. But going forward, and that has already started, the work with making our production and sourcing and supply chain more cost efficient. So this is of course something that we will evaluate over time. Where is the most cost efficient place and suppliers to have our supply chain in?
Very good, thank you, Lena. And the next one is for Carl. Is the date for the new emissions set, or are you free to wait to a later date, for example, the beginning of November, if you see that would be better?
Yes. First of all, I think just to have respect for the process here, we have the EGM later today, so nothing has yet been decided for the rights issue that has been proposed. But referring to the proposal from the board, there are some dates there, preliminary dates mentioned in that proposal. However, there are no dates set as far as I know.
Very good. And as said before, information will be released in due course. Then one for Lena. Being one of the companies that have a solid financial plan, for example, a guaranteed share issue, in an otherwise tough financial market and high interest from customers, what do you feel as management team, and what is the feeling of the staff?
I mean, the feeling from the staff, I am extremely impressed, and I have said this in other forums as well. I'm extremely impressed by the Climeon team, the dedication and the competence of the Climeon team. It's a team of highly competent people in all different areas. We have an extremely experienced maritime team, for example. The whole team has worked there in the maritime team or in the maritime industry more or less for the whole their whole work life, and we have an excellent R&D manager that has a really great R&D team with all the competence needed. So we have a very competent team at Climeon and also a very dedicated team. And of course, from a team now that's worked a lot of developing this new system. Now when we're taking commercial orders where we can see that we make a profit on and we have a profitable solution, there's a lot of drive and strive also in the organization, of course, to make sure that we deliver according to customer expectations in this order, and that we also strive to get much more orders. So there's a lot of focus and dedication in Climeon to make this work and to set even higher targets for the future.
Very good and clear. Thank you very much. It seems we do not have any more questions. If you still would like to ask something, please either raise your hand or post one in the chat. Otherwise, we will slowly move to the summary, and thank you by Lena. It seems we have no further questions, so go ahead, Lena.
Yeah, thank you everyone for a lot of good questions, and also for a lot of you following us in different channels. We get a lot of input and comment from you that makes us better all the time. And our next report, our Q4 report, will be published on February 6th. But as always, you get most update on what's happening in Climeon through our LinkedIn channels. So if you want to get regular update on what's happening at Climeon, please follow us on LinkedIn. And we will then, of course, also update you when new things are happening at Climeon through press releases and other things. But thank you all for participating today, and wish you a nice rest of this day. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.